It's like,
Hey.
I was saying we're talking more technical issues, but it's like your phone. You say you just restart, hey, and it worked. And it's like you got to know to reboot your phone every now and then.
Yeah, yeah.
It
I
clears
don't know
it,
what it is,
it
but whatever it
defragments it.
is, it
Yeah.
seems to make sense. Just unplug it, plug it
Oh,
back in again.
you know what? I got to
Hmm.
figure out this view thing because I'm on my laptop. So what is it? Is it gallery? Yeah, it's gallery. Okay, now we're in the right.
All right. So Barry, you want to introduce the show?
Oh yeah, we should do that. Hey, welcome to Over 50 Starting Over. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison. And Barry, you got a different background today.
I do. I'm coming at you from Florida, where we are on vacation. And
Sweet.
this is our Airbnb place. So recording off the laptop with a $1.99 set of microphones, earbuds.
You sound better than you did last week.
Oh God. Yeah, that was awful. So I ordered my new mic and I had it sent to my renters since we wouldn't be home. So I sent
Right.
it to my renters. So hopefully next Friday we'll be all back to normal again.
Hopefully that's cool. So you got a new mic coming in and everything. It's too bad you had to buy a new mic. But
Isn't it
hey,
only two and a
yeah.
half years old?
That doesn't make sense, and I'm hoping that's not an omen for my mic, because I really
Yeah,
like this one. This one's been
it's a great mic.
great. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. So I got to tell you, I have a story of redemption here. Remember last year, my last meal in Florida? I brought it up again. I had the worst meal, our last meal in Florida last year when we went to this small French brunch place, a little
Right.
family-owned place, and it's kind of fancy and all that. And they're ordering around the table, ordering crepes and everything. And I thought, and they're like, "Well, Barry, what are you going to get?" I'm not telling you. And they come to me, bacon cheeseburger. And
I
it's like,
remember this.
how
Yeah.
could I go wrong, right? And it was
Right.
on this giant pretzel bun with smothered in a sweet barbecue sauce, which I think is disgusting. I just powered through it, but it was awful. So anyways, this time,
Wow.
and I got something to share with you. Um, we just got back from there. We just ate there, had brunch there. We went to the gym, had brunch there. Why won't this let me share anything? This is gonna really kill me. Um, it's not letting me share stuff on my desktop. Oh God. And I got photos of our meal, which is beautiful. I just said, I'm getting what Lisa's getting. And it was this uh buckwheat flour crepe with vegetables in it, goat cheese, which made the thing, and a side of hash browns. It was really, really good, and light. And I wanted light, so that yeah, I redeemed myself in the restaurant.
Oh, that's good to hear. So you didn't go for the tried and true cheeseburger, but it is interesting that you got the cheeseburger and it wasn't any good. Now, if I
How do you
remember
screw
right,
up a bacon cheeseburger?
now, but I do kind of remember that you don't like pretzel bun to
God
begin
no,
with.
no, man. I
So
think
right
like
off the top, but that cheeseburger didn't have a chance.
it was overwhelmed by this
Yeah.
giant chewy pretzel bun. I, you should, I don't know, serve that with just mustard to dip in, just a pretzel bun.
Yeah. I
Oh,
hear you. But wait, do you like pretzels? You just don't want it as a
yes,
bun.
just not with my hamburger or
Yeah.
cheeseburger. So we were talking about a big part of our conversation here on this trip is you're going to find very interesting. And I want to get your feedback. I want to get your input. Oh, you know what? You know what I want to say first of all, before
What's that?
Lisa's Aunt Margie had this very, as I told you last week, had a very long, extensive surgery for cancer that she had. And she is the most positive person in the world. She is just brightens up every place she shows up. And so this has been very challenging for us in the family. Well, the news came, you did a prayer for us.
Yep. I
Very
remember.
appreciated, very appreciated.
My
And
pleasure.
they came back and said that she's going to have to go through 5 weeks of radiation, but it's kind of standard procedure. She looks to be cancer free.
Oh, praise God. That is
Yes.
really awesome news. I'm so glad to
Yes.
hear that. That's wonderful.
I don't think that how do I say this? I think that you had something to do with that, and I
Well,
just really, I'm here to thank you very much on all of our behalf. So,
oh, well, look, what I did was a small thing, but what God does is
yeah,
beautiful, and that's his domain. So
yeah,
anytime, man, I'm just glad to hear that
yeah,
Aunt Margie is doing well and cancer free. That's what a boy, that is really the whole concept of salvation is just really being set free from a trap,
yeah,
like a bird being caught by the fowler and being set free to fly away. That's what she got to do right there. What a beautiful thing. And thanks for sharing that, Barry. That's very
Oh,
uplifting.
I really couldn't wait to share that. And so I wanted to share this with you, and Lisa wants me to as well. Uh, where she works, I'm going to just talk a little bit in vague circumstances, but
Okay.
where she works, there's some restructuring going on at the
Oh
top,
boy. Hmm.
and she is currently in a director's role. She has an opportunity. She has like 4 different opportunities from here. One is to stay exactly where she's at, doing what she does in strategy, and the 3 others are all executive roles. One being a CEO of this subdivision of this company,
Wow.
and all of them are meaningful and very positive. But this couple comes with the challenge of Lisa's personality. I think you could relate to this a little bit, but she has a hard time turning it off. She's a dog on a bone, and with every job, she's got to do a plus work, and uh, she's super diligent. She has a hard time setting boundaries for herself and having a work life balance. And so the question is, does she stay where she is in a role that she knows and doing what she likes, and perhaps trying to find the boundaries within an existing framework? There's an
Hmm.
appeal to
Hmm.
that.
Right.
Or to take on a bigger challenge, knowing it's really rewarding, personally rewarding roles. And but then, so while trying to take on a new big challenge, to not go into overwhelm, how to find those boundaries at that same time. You put,
Hmm.
I suggested, perhaps I threw it on the table that maybe if you put it in as part of your day, as important as work, that every weekday you have something like either a yoga class to do, or this energy work that she liked doing, or going for a walk or something like that at this specific time at 5 or 6 o'clock or something. And I just want to know, as vague as maybe I'm being, I want to know if you have some thoughts on this.
I do
Tough.
actually, because I mean, we've seen. Your Lisa reminds me of my dad in a way, because he was
Yeah,
very, very driven for success, and he had to do, A plus work. He had to. That was in his DNA,
yeah,
but he could not turn that off. And he would come home late, and you could see that something was on his mind. He was occupied the whole time.
yeah.
And that's really where his decision to retire came from, is that this isn't working for me. However, the just not deciding not to continue on where your heart is taking you is also a contradictory thing to your well-being.
Yeah.
You can't just turn off where your heart's leading. And I think the whole key is to decide whether this is a brain thing or a heart thing. You know what I'm saying? Because I really feel like this, Barry, that if your heart is leading you in a particular direction, the facts almost don't matter.
Good
There's a
point.
plan. There's a plan that I know you're both very spiritual. I think Lisa's a Catholic, right?
Yes.
I really believe this, that God puts a plan in your heart, and if you know that, in your head, it's one of those things where it's iffy. But if it's inside of your heart, you kind of, this is something my dad used to say, you know that you know that you know. And no matter how crazy it looks, you kind of got to do that because that's where you're being led to be. But if you feel like this is really more about me and just appeasing uh my thirst for, you know, fame and fortune, that's usually where people flounder. That's usually where it just doesn't work out in the long run, because the bottom line is we've all got to have this quality of life. And what is quality of life? Well, it's different for everybody. But one thing I know is that love actually does make the world turn around. And as we've said several times before, nobody on their deathbed says, boy, I wish I could have spent 10 more minutes in the office.
No,
So,
that's really
you
good.
know, this is stuff that is no one can answer for Lisa except for Lisa. And she's going to have to really do that soul searching in order to understand what she really wants to do. Because sometimes the answer is, hey, stay where you are. This is going to pay. You're already kind of, you know, you're treading water where you are right now. And if you bite off more at this point, you may just drown and you're not going to be happy. And, you
Yeah.
know, no matter what you're doing, we only have this one life. And
Yeah.
being happy is the key to a successful life. And if
I
this is
think
going to
that's
make her happy, then, you know, no matter what the challenges are, then she should do it. But that's what she's going to have to decide here.
yeah.
You
There's
know,
a real attractiveness to that CEO position of that division because it's something that is really beneficial to the medical community. And you know how messed up our medical system
boy,
is. And
right.
it's a little bit of a fix to it that could hopefully then go nationwide. And so there's that. But even as it was coming out of my mouth, you kind of just you reinforced a thought that I had about trying to find those new borders while you're trying to do a whole new challenge is biting off a lot.
It
Maybe it's
is.
best that she stays where she's at, you
It,
know?
it depends on it. All is going to come back to her and what
Mhm.
her heart is telling her. And like I said, you know, I can see that, you know, being the CEO is prestigious. And
It's not the prestige. It's really it's the importance of the role is that she's never been. You mentioned about I think you're saying in a generic way about seeking fame and fortune. She Well, she always has demanded to be adequately compensated, rightfully so, for what she's doing. But fame, like she said, the one drawback to the CEO thing is she just doesn't want to like just be in that limelight. She wants to actually give it to other people, that part of it. But
that actually could make her a great CEO.
oh, that's a really good way to
Yeah, I
put
mean, seriously, the best CEOs are the ones that surround themselves with great expertise where
it.
they
Yeah,
don't actually have to be the be all end all, and they
yeah.
understand delegation. Those are the people that actually survive the onslaught of the amount of pressure that comes from being in the limelight.
Yes. Oh, that's really good feedback. I appreciate that. And I'm also going to say that as I was preparing for the show, which I didn't do quite as much of because of
Yeah, you're on
vacation,
vacation.
I looked at your notes and you got, I'm just going to take it away, man. You got a
Oh,
lot in your notes.
well, I know how it is being on vacation and everything. I didn't want you to have to feel any pressure about the whole show and all,
Oh, I don't.
but
I will say I got a lot of really good stuff for the lighter side though at the end.
I also want to ask you if it's possible for you to turn on my ability to share my screen.
Right.
There's a couple things I wanted to check out, not this second, but
You're good to go.
I definitely do. Anyhow, so I wanted to, in this whole vein of over 50 starting over, I found this article this past week here, the 50 best things about life over 50. And I'm not going to go over all 50 of them.
Hit
I'm
the
going to go
highlights.
over a few of them.
Good.
There's some really good stuff. Apparently, there was a study that had taken place. Now, this is funny because there's a big ad over my article, and now I can't get into it for some odd reason. What? Why would that happen?
Oh, got to get those ads in there.
Well, it's funny because now the whole article is missing.
No
That's
way.
Yeah, that's really, really weird. I can see it, but I can't see the actual article. So I'm gonna pull this up on my phone.
Huh.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm sure that you remember a few anyway. A couple of.
Well, first off, just to start off, there was this study that was done where a lot of this information comes from, and it's so this isn't just speculation. This is based on some stuff that's actually going on here, and reality. So um, this okay, so let me just start out. You're in good company being over 50, starting over. 2012 Nielsen Boomager study predicted that in 2017 nearly 50% of the population would be and is 50 and up. So
Hmm.
that's pretty interesting that you're in the majority now. I think
Hmm.
that's something I'd never really thought of. I would at this age, I would think most people are younger than me, but no, that's not the truth.
Right.
On the same study estimated that those 50 and up would control 70% of discretionary income in the United States.
Wow.
So not only are we the majority, we actually hold the purse strings here as
That
well.
makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. Therefore, you're becoming a very valuable demo. It's been found that more TV networks, both streaming and traditional ad agencies and other services, are geared to those 50 and up. Basically, you're the tastemakers. So
That
that's
makes sense.
interesting. It does make sense.
Yeah.
And it's here's something that's really interesting about that. I have felt that since I was in my 30s. It really felt like advertisements, TV shows have really been catered towards our generation for quite a
Yeah.
long time. Of course,
Yeah.
we're seeing some changes there, but that's a different one for me.
Well, we're really the ones that are truly in power right now. We're going to
Well,
make
yeah.
most of the decisions. Even as I say that, it's like, who are we kidding? The pharmaceutical companies, the fossil fuel industry, and all these other lobbyists are the ones that are really in power, but they're run by our generation, basically.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
Well, and especially when you put those other two in, where hey, we're the majority and we hold the purse strings, then of
Yeah.
course that it makes sense that marketing would be geared mostly towards us.
Yeah.
Here's another one. You're very plugged in. I'll just read this.
Yes.
You might have a bit more time to catch up with friends and families. Statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics found that those 55 and over spent double the amount of time per day communicating via phone, mail, or email than any other demographic. Those
Mm.
ages 50 to 54 also spent more time through their though their stats were measured in the 45 to 54 demographic. But yeah, it's really interesting our age and how we communicate, because gosh, we still believe in picking up the phone and talking to people,
Mm.
and we like to go and visit people. But you look at the generations behind us, boy, they are text
It's
messaging
just
all the
text.
time.
Dude,
Yeah,
so much communication gets lost that way.
it sure does.
Tone.
Yeah, there's inflection and tone, and people will get these text messages and they'll be so angry, like, I can't believe they said that. Well, wait, are you sure
Yeah.
that's what they meant? I mean, you're
You
right,
jump to
you lose so
conclusions.
much. Yeah, you
Hmm.
really do. You
Hmm.
can lose friends that way too.
Yes, yes, yes.
I
And
I
Zoom is even better because you can see expressions.
That's a big deal. It's a
It's a
big
big deal.
deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, but we're in that class where we're very good communicators compared to the rest of society
It's
out
good to
there.
know, man.
You're also way more likely to be active. The study also found that those 55 and up spent more hours per day in sports and leisure activities, even more than those ages 20 to 24.
Wow.
That's shocking.
That's shocking. I would not have predicted that.
However, when you take a look at what's happened to this younger generation that's out there, boy, they are very computer centric,
Mhm.
video game centric,
Video
social
game centric.
media
Yes.
centric.
Yes.
And, I mean, I remember, my kids growing up, and and Anne Marie and I wanting to get them go outside and play. You know, like, can you remember when you were a kid? Like, there was nobody had to tell you to go outside.
They had to call you to come in.
Yeah, they had to drag us in, kicking and screaming.
Yeah, we were talking about that like yesterday, Lisa and I. And my mom and I were talking about that too, because I saw it happening. Like I grew up in this neighborhood where it was just like, I thought everybody grew up like this, but I grew up on a dead end street. It dead ended at the railroad tracks. And there was just nothing but endless adventures back beyond that. And I know we've talked about it before. You're the same way. And as we were growing up to the point of going into high school and off to college and stuff, seeing the generation behind us, they just rode their bikes right out in front of the street. That's it. They didn't go off into those adventures.
No. And
it seemed like it continued to go more and more that way.
Well, and it's weird because we're the ones that, you know, we would do all these adventures. By the way, every time you tell me about your neighborhood, it always reminds me of that movie, Lean on Me.
Stand by Me.
Or Stand by Me. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. That was my childhood. Yes.
Yeah. And it was very similar, very similar. But you know, here we are, we're the ones that were doing all this stuff. Yet when we had kids, you know, I have friends that are parents our age. They were like, don't go outside, you know, it's unsafe out there, and something's gonna get you. Like, that's the thing, is we went out there and we were carefree as kids. But then when we became parents, we were so scared of letting our kids do the same thing that we did.
I think the news has a lot to do with that.
I think you're right.
There's a lot
totally believe that.
I mean, there's a lot of child abductions and stuff like that. And we hear about it more than, I don't know if there was a big percentage increase since we were kids and we just didn't know about it. I don't know.
Well, and think about it. When we were kids, there was no 24/7 news going on, you know, and so you know, it was between 5 and 7 o'clock. That's the only time you really got the news.
But you know what, too, Merle, is all your neighbors, you knew each other, you watched out for their kids and all of that. And I think about, you know, it seemed like when we went trick-or-treating, it seemed like we were out for all hours of the evening. I'm sure we probably got home by 8:30, but it seemed like we were out to all hours of the evening. And just by ourselves doing God knows what, you know, and you never let your kids do that these days.
No, you'd be you might get hauled away by child
protective services,
kids taken away. Yeah. And it's just crazy how that whole thing works. And
it's a more violent world, though. It's more impersonal. There's more anonymity, which always causes bad behavior. Like when you go into the city and everyone's just a number, you get a lot more violence and things like that. But you go out into a rural town where everybody knows everybody and knows who the bad influence is, and something happens, you know who it's probably is responsible for that. So you got a lot less stuff. The more anonymity you have, the crappier behavior is. It's just like social media when you can hide behind a computer.
Well, something else you said too, about the neighborhood and how everybody was watching. Do you ever?
You froze up, buddy.
We're getting in trouble by a neighbor's parents or by people at another house, like the adult. Yeah, I have. And I mean, it was just as bad. Like they're gonna come out and yell at you and then call your parents immediately. And as soon as you get home, you're in trouble. That's how it was in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, they call your parents. Then it's like, oh no.
I don't think kids are that worried about that today. But and then you have this whole thing. You know, it seems like sports for younger people isn't as big a deal as it was for us. And you also have this childhood obesity thing that's gone really crazy. And I think it has something to do with we're not promoting physical activity like we did before.
Very true.
And then, there's probably something to be said about what kids are eating these days as
well.
They're
addicted to sugar. Yeah, everyone's addicted to sugar.
We're addicted to sugar or things that break down and cause sugar in our systems, and the amount of carbs that we're eating, the fast food on every corner,
the preservatives.
The preservatives. Exactly. Really, really crazy. I think, these days with all the preservatives that we're taking when we die, we'll probably 100 years later, if you open up the casket, we're going to look even better.
Well,
Look at
there's
all
a
the weight
theory.
you lost.
There's a theory. Yeah, we've just started going backwards. Like we started, we were for all of our lives hearing about how we're living longer and longer and longer. And I think that just actually started to creep backwards now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Here's one. You also don't take technology for granted. For those who grew up in a time when tech seemed to go obsolete within months, it's easy to get wrapped up in having the latest everything.
Yes.
For those who grew up in a time when school reports had to be typed up on typewriters, you appreciate all the advances without getting obsessed. To be able to summon a ride with a push of a button on your phone still blows your mind.
Yeah, it does.
Because it is pretty mind-blowing.
It's awesome. And it's like I said before about the privatization of all these things, the way Uber and Airbnb have privatized those industries. I hope that this can continue just in media. We're kind of doing this with media. And I hope we can just do it with all these other gigantic corporations that are truly running this country.
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, put a dent into that. Yeah.
But it is interesting how we live today and the new technology that comes out. We as a generation don't expect all these crazy things to come out every 6 months.
You're right.
And when they do, we're kind of, whoa, hey, I hand my phone over to my daughter and say, hey, can you do what needs to be done here? And she just, her hand becomes a whir there, and hands it back. Oh, thank you very much. That's kind of nice that the two kind of go hand in hand. But I think every generation deals with this. Ours was so simple. I remember my mom going over to my mom's house as an adult and seeing that her VCR was still blinking 12. Mom, you got to change that, So how far we've come.
True, but here's one. Wish that every generation had the gift of growing up without technology and not getting the technology until you're like 22?
Oh, absolutely.
Wouldn't that be great?
I think that's the way it should be. The other day I was running an errand and I had to drive by this school. And I saw where, a lot of these schools, they don't have buses anymore. And so the parents have to come and pick them up. Yeah, California is notorious for that. No buses. Anyhow, I drove past the school and there was a line of cars out there, parents waiting, and all of them were texting. I could see them in their cars, doing stuff with their phone. I think they were texting their kids, hey, I'm outside. Which is crazy when you think about the cost of these darn phones, and you're buying one for your kid and your kid's in there and they can text anybody in the universe. I don't know. It's a whole different thing going on.
Totally different. I can't imagine teaching when kids have phones in their pockets or in their hands.
No, right? And here's another thing. How easy would it be to cheat using that kind of communication system?
My brother teaches in a high school in Painesville, and he said that most teachers, I think they take the phones right at the beginning of class.
Oh, that's a great idea. I mean, how distracting it would be to have a phone, but also then on the flip side, an emergency happens at home and the teacher has the phone and nobody knows about it. There's so many things that can go wrong with this whole thing.
Oh God, yeah. And you can never be totally right in the right.
No.
You just brought up a good point. Because what if an
exactly
emergency?
Right. Yeah. Now the school's getting sued.
Yes.
Anyway, here's one. You can pursue your biggest goals. This is interesting.
True.
Want to compete in a triathlon? You won't be alone. The number of those age 50 plus make up a fast-growing demographic. Membership in the USA Triathlon grew 230% from 2008 to 2015.
Wow.
Isn't that something?
That's a short period of time.
It's really interesting. I almost caught this, and I'm immune to it, but I remember a lot of people our age in the last decade or so, we're doing these triathlons or marathons, and there was I remember reading an article one time about this person who decided to do a triathlon, and something got into me and made me think I need to do that. I got over it.
Well, you were doing some of those cycling
Yes,
things though,
I want to
and
get
that's
back to
just
that
as
actually.
yeah, and I like that too. I hadn't thought about actually joining one of those, but I ride so much on my just alone, and it's
Yeah,
just fine by me.
you've been doing that for a long time, and it's so
Yeah,
cool.
I love it. The triathlon, the first thing I think of when you say that is I would never want to do that running part. It's just too hard on your body because you got
Yeah,
to train for that. So you're running
yeah,
all the time now, and
yeah,
that's
yeah.
really hard on your knees.
Really
Um,
hard.
yeah, I mean, I'm a huge advocate of walking. I mean, everybody
Yeah,
should do a lot of walking.
I
Good for the
totally
mind
agree with
and
you.
body. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Walking is a big deal, I think, and it's underrated, but I think that it's probably one of the best things for you. I always think the swimming part, because I think you got to swim like 2 miles or something, like
Oh,
two
right.
miles of swimming.
That
And
would
then
be
you got to
rough.
get on your bicycle and ride 100 miles or
Yeah.
some kind of crazy thing like that. I mean,
Yeah.
swimming really takes it out of you.
Yeah, I used to do for years this thing out here on in the end of February. It was called, or mid-February. It's called Tackle the Tower, and it raised money for the Ronald McDonald House. And
Mhm.
uh, but it was you run, you get timed running up to the top of the tower of the Galleria. It was like 40 floors,
Oh, right, right.
38 to
Oh,
40 floors,
cool. The terminal
and
tower. Yeah.
yeah, so what it did for me is gave me a goal to stay in shape. Something in January and February. You get out of the holidays, hey man, I got Tackle the Tower coming up and I want to do a better time than I did last year. And so
Yeah,
you're
that's pretty
training
cool.
for it,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they don't do it anymore for some reason.
Oh, that's too bad.
But
Hopefully
I
nobody
liked it.
fell
Yeah.
down the steps or something. That could be
Yeah,
a bummer.
it takes one accident. Yeah.
Yep, yep. We did those one of the things that we did was the this event called Critical Mask, not mask, but mass.
Yeah, it's a
Um
bike trip, right?
Yeah, and they
We have it
have
out
it
here.
in. Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was talking to Scott about it, who had done it in Florida, and he was telling me how cool it was. It was very chill, a lot of really cool people. He got to meet a lot of people, and
Is
I
it on
found out
Mondays? Like a Monday night?
it depends on what city you're doing it in.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, it was on a Friday night.
Okay.
And so I decided to do this, and I went out. It was, you start downtown Los Angeles and they take you on this like 25-mile ride through the city, just meandering through different neighborhoods throughout the city, which was pretty cool. It was nighttime.
Sure. Right.
We were escorted by the police. There were all these motorcycle cops and everything that were escorting us. And it's called Critical Mass because nothing can stop this. There's like hundreds and hundreds of riders. You don't stop at stoplights or anything like that. You just keep going, and traffic just has to stop.
Mhm.
And while Scott was telling me about the one in, I think it was Fort Lauderdale, being very chill, mine was anything but chill. I saw accident after
Oh my
accident.
God.
Pete,
You're talking in LA?
yeah, I almost got in several accidents. I just barely went down in a, how you see like Tour de France and somebody goes down, then seven or eight people go
Yeah.
down as a result. I almost
Yeah.
got caught up in one of those. I
Wow.
was injured. I was bleeding.
Oh my
um,
God.
People were insane over there, and they were completely anti-police. They were yelling at the police. They weren't paying
Really?
attention to what the police were saying. And one guy actually, they have this thing, before I tell you, they have this thing in Los Angeles where it became, I don't know if this is nationwide or not, but it was very popular to have these bikes that don't have brakes. Why would you want a bike without brakes? And
Yeah, I've heard of that.
the way they stop is they'll put their leg back on their tire and use their shoe as their brake.
And
And
that's the other thing, Merle, is it's been a big fad for a little while, is that single gear bike. They're
yeah,
called something. You can't go up a hill like that.
well, here's the deal: is we went up this pretty big meandering hill over by Dodger Stadium, and when we got to the top, it was like switchbacks on the way down. In some places, I was getting up over 40 miles per hour, and one of these kids, I mean, there was a lot of young people there. One of these kids flew into a cement buttress and died
Really?
right there. It
Oh
was it
my
was
God.
god awful.
Yeah.
And anyhow, I never did that again. But,
I
but
could see.
I gotta say though,
Oh my
after I
God.
got done with it, I felt like I'd accomplished, like it was like a Mad Max kind of thing, and I felt like I survived that. And then I
Uh,
went home, and on the way home, I remember thinking, I'm never going to do that again. But you know what, Barry? There's something weird inside of me that was trying to push me to do it again. Like, see if you can survive it again.
yeah, yeah, I get it. You know, Irby used to do that critical mass. And he
Oh, he
said it was,
did.
yeah, he said it was really chill. And the nice thing about that, I would encourage people to look into that. You meet a lot of friends, new friends
Yeah.
that are also into doing something good for themselves. But I'll say this about me. Like for instance, I did the New York, it's called the
Mm.
5 borough ride or whatever it's
I
called.
remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. My problem, I tried hanging with my friends for a while, and I can't, dude, I get on my bike, my adrenaline flies. I need to rock it. And so if I were to do something like that, I'd just be like, look, I'm not antisocial, but I'm here to ride later. And I would be out in front of everybody. I,
I could
I
see that.
love riding my bike, man. It's fun.
I do too. I do too. I went on this hike over the weekend. Same place I went before. It's so beautiful there. I actually
Oh,
do have a couple of pictures that I want to share, but I wanted
yes.
to tell this because you can mountain bike there as well. And
Oh,
I saw this group of mountain bikers, and one of them was just talk 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 talk,
mm,
and I thought, that's cool, but sometimes you just want to ride. Like,
yes.
come on, just be quiet and let's enjoy the
Yeah.
ride.
Right.
I don't know. I'm never riding with that guy. Here's one. You appreciate your mother for who she is, though she may at times frustrate you just as much as she did when you were 15. Your relationship is far, far better,
Way better. Boy, that is so true.
isn't it?
I love that one. Oh,
I
it's
have to
so
say,
true.
and this is what we get in our generation. Hopefully, other generations feel the same way. But I personally, I always felt very close to my mom growing up. But I talk to my mom several times a week. I just love her.
Hmm.
And she's my friend. She's one of
Yeah.
my best friends, and
Yeah.
she's very cool.
Yeah. And I got to say, like, uh, to expound on that, like, our moms were like in their 20s when we were kids. And to us, they were just adults. That's what we thought of
Right,
adults. But now
right.
we know we got the perspective. Now they're around 80 or so, and they're so much more wise and chill and all of these things. And I, Merle, same here. My mom is one of my very best friends too. And
That's
but
great, Barry.
and not just that, man, she's the matriarch of the whole family. We have a great family, and she is the glue and the centerpiece. We always go to her house. Everybody descends on her house for every get together and stuff. And nah, man, I like that one. That was my favorite
That's
one.
huge. That's huge. Anne Marie's mom passed away several years back,
I'm
and
sorry, Andy.
we used to. I adored her too. She was
Uh-huh.
just. We became very close friends. She would call the house, and Anne Marie would pick up, and she would say, "Is Merle there?"
Ah, I love
And
that.
She was
And
a
we're
she was a
down here to see
history.
Lisa's mom, by the way.
That
Yeah,
is awesome.
yeah.
And she's like a history. She not only is a history, she just knows history. She's a world
Cool.
traveler too. And
Oh,
so she could talk about these things not only because of her knowledge, but she'd been there and she'd seen that. And
yeah.
then we'd have these really fascinating discussions. She turned my head around on several things that I have really believed. And she says, "Oh, well," suddenly these books would show up at my house, read that and tell me what you think. And I would read through
How
it, and then we'd get
cool.
on the phone and talk about,
How
oh, it was
thoughtful.
awesome.
But
It
thoughtful.
was very, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
I miss her so much, but she was sort of the center of their family too, the
Mhm.
matriarch of the family. And
Sure.
we would go on these vacations as a family, and we'd go to her house for Christmas and stuff like that. And after she died, that kind of just disappeared, and that was a
Oh, see,
sad thing.
we talk about that, and we're kind of we try, nobody likes to talk about that kind of stuff too much, but
Mhm.
it's important because we're concerned about that too. When my mom
Mhm.
eventually passes, that the nucleus is gone and we fall apart.
Yeah,
That'd
yeah,
be horrible.
and it's sort of up to us to not let that happen, you know. And I think
Yeah,
that's kind of in our generation's court, is to make
yeah.
sure we almost got to force that to happen, or somebody's got to step up to the plate here
Someone
and
has
take
to
that
step up.
place. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's another one that I can relate to: is you have complete run of the house. Also, life is way better when you can walk across your living room with the confidence that you won't accidentally step on a Lego, or worried someone is going to barge in on you in the bathroom or the bedroom.
Oh, that's funny. That's true. I mean, we didn't. Lisa and I never had kids, but we definitely enjoy our freedom. We are all about our freedom.
Well, I have stepped on a Lego and other things like that. And let me tell you something, man. If you want to talk about colorful language that will come out of your mouth that you weren't expecting.
The stairs is the scariest thing. To trip on a toy on a stair. That could be.
That's tough, and kids are going to do that, and so just you got to be alert. But being able to have the house to yourself, or just,
Yes,
it's your domain, the things
yes.
that are there are where you put them, is kind of nice, you know.
I
uh
can't really claim to be able to bask in that totally. It's Lisa's domain, and everything is where Lisa put it, and it is going to stay where Lisa put it. And I have to follow the rules, and there are a lot of rules. So that
well,
is what it is.
it really is. And I wanted to hey, I want to try an experiment here. I'm going to try to pull up my iPhone. Let's see, connect to Wi-Fi,
Oh, you can do that?
tap screen mirroring.
Oh, this would
And
be cool.
okay, let me just see if I can do this. I should have actually done this before I
Well, that's all right. I was just thinking that when you had that problem on your laptop with the ad taking over the page, you could have just taken the URL and opened it up into a new incognito or private mode window tab.
oh, hmm. Let's see here. For some reason, I am not able. I really want to do this.
Oh, I like that. Yeah. I want to see those pictures that you took of your hike.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to pull up here.
Oh, good, good. And I just wanted to ask you in general, it's been several weeks now. It's been about a month that you've been there, right?
It is, yeah.
And I wanted just to get your feedback as to how acclimated you are, how much you're enjoying the area. Give me a briefing there.
I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, or trying to share my
Yeah,
screen, because it's just not working
that's
here. I
fine.
wish I could get that to happen. So boy, I have this really great picture that you can't
Cool.
see. Look
I
at
can
that, look
kind
at
of
that,
see it.
look at that
Cactus.
huge cactus right there. That's on my hike right
That's
there.
gigantic.
Isn't it? And this
Yeah.
is the thing, man. These cactus are crazy huge, and they're really old. And you go on these hikes, and it's like, what land am I in here? What planet am I on?
Yeah.
It's really great. And the trail that I've been going on, it's so well groomed and everything. It's really nice. The weather has been really sweet. This is the time to be in Phoenix right now,
Oh
because you
yeah.
got this just fantastic weather, fantastic nights, mostly sunny skies. The sunsets are amazing. The
Really.
different clouds in the sky and everything. Oh, it's amazing. I
Wow.
gotta say, all right, when I wake up in the morning, one of the first things I do when I grab my cup of coffee is I go outside in my backyard. So I
Nice.
can't help it. I just go. It's so beautiful
That's a
and
great way to
so
start your day.
relaxing out there. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is what I did today. I went outside. I could see in the distance there was like a machine mowing the golf course way in the distance. So it wasn't like all noisy or anything like that. But there were rabbits, just in birds and everything, and
Oh,
it smells really good outside.
oh,
That's a big deal, because
it
when I went
is.
outside in Los Angeles, it smelled like urine
Oh,
or other things.
yeah.
And it just the peace that's out here. I've met several of my neighbors. They're all really nice. I had a neighbor, one the lady that lives down the street. I was doing some work in the garage and she walked by and she goes, I like your motorcycle. Anybody that says that, you're my friend now.
Yeah.
I ran out there. Oh, you like it? Do you have a motor? She has a Harley. She rides,
Really?
yeah, it's pretty
Uh,
cool stuff. Well, here's the thing though, Barry, is that it's so peaceful in my neighborhood, and my motorcycle, it'll rattle your cupboards, and
yeah.
I've almost been like, God, almost don't want to start the motorcycle
Yeah.
up. Then I heard her husband rides the motorcycle too. I heard him fire his motorcycle up the
Oh.
other day. And I'm like, yeah, all right.
Well, I'm really glad that you're getting acclimated like this.
Cost of living has
Yeah.
gone down tremendously in every aspect. Not only is my rent about a third less than it was in
Wow.
Los Angeles, my insurance rates went down
I
dramatically. My car insurance went down dramatically by about a third.
Wow.
Even my health insurance plan that I'm on right now
Wow.
went down. My motorcycle insurance went down. My energy costs for heating the place, that went down. Everything's gone down tremendously.
Wow.
Here's another thing, is that when I was in the LA, everywhere you went, there's a huge line, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a line just going up to a traffic light. There's a big line, you go to a restaurant, huge line. There's a million people in there.
Yeah.
Not like that here.
Dude,
well, I
that's
kind of
so
live
cool.
out in the country out here.
Uh-huh.
I'm not downtown or anything. I'm in the outskirts.
And how do you feel about that?
I love it. I
Oh,
love
that's
it.
cool.
I think it's so cool. I drive down this road and I see these farms and they got horses and cows and llamas and like Brahma bulls. Like, what the heck is that? And sometimes I think, man, maybe I want to be a farmer. I don't know. But it's cool. It feels great out here. I still haven't gotten on my motorcycle to do a ride yet, so I haven't totally acclimated yet. I've gone on a couple of bike rides, but I really want to take my bike out to one of those trails and go for a ride, because it looks like a lot of fun. So yeah, I mean, everything is going great out here. Love it.
Another thing,
I miss Scott and the kids, though. That's the only bummer.
Yeah, and first I wanted to say, price of gasoline has got to be considerably lower too.
Oh yeah, that's another one. Yes,
hugely,
big time,
especially right now.
Yep. Especially right now.
Yeah, and so just briefly about missing Scott and the kids. How bad is that for you? Have you adjusted some? It's only been a month.
Yeah, I think it may not be hitting me 100% yet. Okay. Just because we're still trying to get our own home organized and everything over the weekends. Although I went on a nice hike, I've been building things. I had to build a bunch of cabinets 2 weekends ago. Last weekend, I had to put together this big shelving unit, and we're just doing a bunch of stuff to get ourselves organized. So my head's been there a lot, and I really had to think about it. But funny thing, last night I was going to sleep and I was thinking about, oh, it would be so cool to go up to Panga Canyon and do so and so. And I've started to miss Los Angeles every time. And that's the first time that happened.
Oh,
but so I guess, I'm distracted by all the great stuff that's going on out here. And that's been helpful.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Been a little bit worried about you in those regards, but you do have so many positive things, as you stated, that it's a matter, it overcompensates.
Well, look, I'm not going to keep it a secret. I really hope that the kids and Scott move out of Los Angeles, and I'd love it if they moved over here, but I just really don't see where the silver lining is in Los Angeles. Obviously, I bought into that because I moved out of there, but it just doesn't. Everything I hear about California and about Los Angeles, it's not going in the right direction. It's going in the opposite direction. And I don't see how they can dig their way out of this whole thing. And Anne Marie still keeps up with all the latest news in California, and I'm like, well, I don't live there anymore. Why are we
Yeah,
worried about that?
yeah,
That's why I left. But there is always the thing is what happens in California eventually spreads across the United States in a lot of aspects. But I'm hoping that doesn't happen here.
well, you got a good point there. I will say, you like to hear this. Okay, Lisa's got a very good friend close by you, and she's like, "Oh, can't wait to go out and see Anne Marie and Merle and my
Oh,
friend."
cool.
Yeah,
Love to
yeah.
meet any friend of
So
yours or
we could,
Lisa's is a friend of ours.
yeah, yeah. So we can we got two reasons to go out
Right
there.
on.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Good
anxious,
deal.
but I'm really, more than anything, I'm just really happy for you that you made that move. I really am.
Me too, Barry. Me
Yeah,
too. It was a monumental obstacle to get through, and
yeah, yeah.
every
Moving sucks.
indication. Oh, it really does. Every
Yeah,
indication is that we really made the right move here.
good, good. I
Yeah.
know you did too. I really know you did. And I just gonna throw in there being out here, missing Charlie so bad, our puppy. Oh, missing him so bad. My mom
It's
texted
tough.
she said the first night that he whined and cried a lot at night. Oh my,
Oh, that's just
it's
it just pulls
heartbreaking,
at your heart. Yes, yes.
heartbreaking. Yeah,
I there's so many things that I miss about having a dog, but one
yeah,
of the things I don't miss is that whole thing about traveling and
yes,
just the heart rendering things that you have to do.
true.
The hardest thing for me was taking my dog I had to take her to a kennel.
Oh,
And
horrible.
I remember just the week before I would leave, the entire week, I would have anxiety over this whole thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it felt like my dog was picking up on that. And it was just like, hey, what are you planning over there? I don't like the way you're
Lisa
acting.
said the same thing about Charlie. Yeah, yeah. I'll say this though, Merle, that when we came back from Asheville a few months ago, and he stayed with my mom, I got the best greeting. Oh my God.
That's
He came, of course he pummeled me and put both paws on either side of on both shoulders and just licked my face so much. And, I'm just hugging him while he's doing that. And I can't
oh,
wait.
I love that too. It's
I can't
like
wait.
sometimes I would look at Anne Marie and say, hey, this is what I'm expecting from you when I come home as well. How
Do
come
you
you're
ever,
not as happy as the dog is
right?
that
Do you
I'm home?
ever get sucked down the rabbit hole? Those YouTube videos of dogs seeing masters who have been away, they're veterans and
Yes.
been overseas, and
Isn't that
oh,
awesome? I've
oh
cried for
God,
joy
oh
watching those
God, yeah,
actually.
oh yeah,
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, I know we go down this path several times, but it's so worthy to I mean, the love that you get from a dog
oh,
is like it's
like nothing.
otherworldly
Yeah,
actually.
it is. It truly is. It's pure. That's why it's pure. It's unimpeded by ego or anything else, and it's unconditional. Yeah, we do talk about this a lot, but my God, it's kind of, they bring out the best in us. They take the edge off of life.
Oh, you know what? I wanted to go back to what we were talking about Arizona.
Uh,
So tonight, Anne Marie and I are actually going over to Carol's house for dinner. And Carol is my stepfather Larry's sister. And she lives in Mesa, Arizona. So I've never met her before.
mhm.
It's kind of weird because, my stepfather, he's been my stepfather since the 90s, the mid 90s, and we've never met. Everyone in my family has met her. Except for Anne Marie and I.
Oh,
So it's going to be fun. She's the
that's
one
gonna
that
be fun.
has that park home in Mesa that Larry and my mom were staying at when we first came out here in
Right.
December. And so, I've been to her house many times. I still haven't met her. So she's making a meal that this facility that she lives in, they have live entertainment many nights of the week. So we're going to see a band, and then we're going to come over and have dinner, and then we're going to hang out by the fire pit that she has and maybe have a glass of wine.
Oh, that
So
sounds so
something to
good.
really look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We are taking Lisa's mom out and some of her friends out to a really nice Italian restaurant for her birthday. Or is it
Oh,
her
that
birthday?
is
It's an occasion, but I
That's
can't wait.
really sweet.
Yeah.
Boy, the background where you are looks really cool. I love those trees back there.
Oh, Florida does have very cool trees, but it's also got the lizards and a black snake. I have a video I took of a black snake that was at Lisa's mom's house. I was like, whoa!
Yikes.
But they said that they're harmless. If they get
Yeah.
rodents, they take care of rodents.
Well, that's a good thing.
So I guess
Well,
it is.
it's funny.
There are
Just before
bugs out here. You know, there are some
that's a
freaky
Florida thing
bugs.
too,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Mhm.
I was just as I was coming to do the show, Anne Marie was reading an article that she's read part of it to me about Arizona and how there are a lot of snakes. And I said it twice, a lot of snakes out here. And
Well, don't you have
I haven't.
scorpions too?
Yes,
Oh,
scorpions are a big deal out here.
yeah.
In fact, I had a guy come to my door the other day wanting to, he had a special discount for spraying for scorpions. And I'm like, scorpions are big business out here. We have a guy that comes by, I guess, twice every 2 months to spray for scorpions. And
Mm.
I gotta say, before I moved out here, I was pretty freaked out about scorpions, and I don't want to get stung by a scorpion.
Right.
And they're weird looking. Like, I can't. You're gonna sting me with that weird
They
tail
look
and
evil.
everything.
They
Yeah,
look evil, man.
they really do. They're freaky, man. And
Yeah.
then I found out that they like to go into places like shoes. They want to
Ooh.
hide in your shoes and
I'm
stuff.
not
So you
coming
put your
out to
shoe
see
on
you.
and you get stung by a scorpion.
Oh,
So Larry was out here. Larry and my mom were out here while this was all going on, and I'm in California getting ready, and Anne Marie's reading me all these articles about scorpions, and I'm getting all freaked out. So I called up Larry. I'm like, Larry, man, I've been hearing about all these scorpions. Have you seen any scorpions there? He goes, he's got that southern accent, and goes, no, man, I ain't seen one scorpion. I'm like, that gave me comfort right there, the way you said it. So, not one scorpion.
That's awesome.
So, but I imagine that there's more scorpion activity in the summertime than in the wintertime. So we'll see what happens. This is sort of the trial run. Like, I was talking to my neighbor the other day, and she was like, you think you're going to be okay in the summertime here? And I'm like, look, I'm not going to try to act like I know what that's going to be like and everything. So we're just going to have to see.
Yeah,
But I will
that's
say
funny.
this, living in the valley in California, I mean, it
Oh,
would get up to, one time it got up to 123 degrees there. So it
yeah.
gets flipping hot in the
Yeah,
San
so
Fernando
you are
Valley.
going to be semi
And
used to it. When we were there for a wedding,
semi.
so, yeah, when we were there for a wedding, I remember sitting at the pool. We were at this really nice resort, and I was at the pool, and it was like in the high 80s the whole time we were there, and it was July, and I was talking to the waitress, the cocktail waitress, a little bit. She was from Kentucky or something. A lot of people there are transplants, and I was like, well, how do you take the heat? And she's like, it gets like really hot here. And I was like, oh yeah, but everybody says that's the dry heat though. So she goes, 120 degrees is 120.
I gotta agree that
Yeah.
it's brutal at 120. But I remember one time being in New Mexico, and it was 100 when I left, and when I got to Cleveland, it was 85 degrees. Or no, it was 88.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, it's going to be so much better. It seemed worse,
Yeah,
just
'cause of
because
the
it was so
humidity.
much more humid, right?
Oh, the humidity. Yeah.
That
that's
humidity
tough
is
one.
no joke. No
Right.
joke.
You
And
know,
you got a
it-
lot of that going on in Florida.
Right. And we're loving, right. So that's what we always, as we're looking for our retirement community and all of that, we still consider possibly doing the snowbird thing because we love Sarasota so much. But we're not kidding ourselves. We couldn't do the summers here. And we love Cleveland, three seasons out of the, I even like a little bit of winter, but we love Cleveland. 3 seasons out of the year, it's freaking amazing. And the cost
You're
of
right.
living is great. But that's my point about Asheville. The first thing I learned about it, we got there too early to get to our Airbnb, so we went to a craft brewery, and because they're so known for their craft breweries in Asheville, and met all these nice people, really nice people. Everybody that lives there is so nice. And one guy told us, it's like the first thing I learned. I said, "What about the humidity in the summers?" He goes, "It's not humid here, man. It's the elevation is just perfect."
Yeah. Yeah.
so that it's not humid there. I'm like, I love Asheville even more now, like
Right.
way more. So it's very much at the top of our list.
It's the same, when we lived in Denver, it was the same thing. I was really concerned about the winter time, but
Right.
that the whole thing about the dry cold, it's no joke. It's so much easier to weather the temperatures
Hmm.
in dry cold compared to that Cleveland wet cold that goes
Yeah.
right to the core of your
Yeah.
body and
Yes.
freezes your bones. It's
Well,
just
I
not
remember
like that.
what you told me when you were living out there. You're like, I just wear a long sleeve t-shirt for the most part during the winters. And it goes, it's not, you go, it's not like Cleveland where it gets messy. It's like it's dry by afternoon, you
It
know?
is. It was.
Yeah.
It really was. That was one of the coolest parts is that
Yeah.
it was one of the first places that I moved to that I felt like I could mountain bike all year long.
Yeah.
Cause the trails would be dry as well. Later on in the day, like it'd snow overnight. And then by afternoon, the next day you could ride on those trails. They wouldn't be muddy at all.
Yeah.
Amazing. It was just amazing.
Geez, dude, this podcast has flown by.
It really has. I know we're at the end. We never got to the current events at all,
Not at
which is
all.
fine. I mean, we're kind of in
Right.
vacation mode right here since
Yeah.
you're on. I'm living vicariously through you. You look like very relaxed, very much on vacation. You
Yes.
got the
Yes.
sunglasses going on and everything. You got a little bit of your vacation beard happening as well.
Yeah.
You look great. It's actually
Thanks, dude.
translated. It's making me feel very relaxed as well.
Well, you live in vacation land, so
Yeah, that's
that's
kind of
really
true.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true, and, yeah, man, I am 100% in vacation mode. Lisa has every one of our days planned out on
I'm
paper
not
and pen.
surprised by
I
that.
I know, I know, I know, but she's like, "You're gonna thank me," because our biggest thing is where we're gonna eat, because we have our favorite places, then we always gotta try, squeeze 1 or 2 new ones in. 'Cause
Right.
there's always something new popping up. But the shame is you only have so many meals, you know?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, no kidding. I hate too when I go to a place I really want to go to and I get full immediately. And it's like,
yes.
ah,
Yeah.
now wait, let me, you're in Sarasota?
Yeah.
That's where you are? Okay.
Yeah. And so I'll tell you this too. This is our favorite days are our beach days. So we're always here for a week, and about 2 or 3 days it'll be a beach day, and that means going early to Siesta Key Beach, which is right across the bridge from us. Two reasons. One, the Florida sun gets so hot that by 1 o'clock is the latest we can be there, and we gotta get out of the sun. But the other is to beat the traffic, because traffic gets pretty bad going to the beach by. So we are always trying to be on the road to the beach by 9 in the morning, and it's just about, it's perfect. It's comfortable, and yeah, by 1 o'clock we're both like, oh my god, we gotta. Now then you're all sweaty in your beach attire and everything, and Lisa just has her little wrap or whatever, and we just drive right over to Siesta Key Village and have a couple drinks at Gilligan's Island Bar, go across the street to Scob, which is Siesta Key Oyster Bar, our favorite place in the world. They always have some live music there, and it's tiny, and they have really good food, and every place is kind of feels like a tiki barish. Oh, that's another thing that we got. But so, anyways, those are our favorite days. So we're in Siesta Key partying it up by about 1, 2 in the afternoon, and then we're out of there by 4 or 5. And and then we just come back across the bridge, go see your mom, things like that. It is my favorite day. Oh my God! So we do a couple tomorrow. Yesterday was one of those, and tomorrow is one of those.
Oh, how nice is that? Now that whole Siesta Key
You froze up, buddy. Uh,
area, I
I'm
kinda checked, I mean, I can hear you. Can
Oh,
you hear me?
okay. I was not sure
Yeah.
whether to fill up the void.
Yeah, yeah. So I checked out that area a little bit because there's a
Cool.
guy. He's a performer. His name is Davidos or Davidas.
Hmm,
I believe he's Ukrainian actually.
hmm.
The guy plays guitar. He could play any song, anything. He's extremely popular and extremely talented. And he goes to the square. There's a little square in Siesta Key that he goes to, and he plays there all the time for free. And
Oh,
he's just, it's like right in the center of the key right there. And
oh,
there's all these really great restaurants and clubs all around that you can see. Henry
oh,
really likes this performer. He is really awesome.
oh.
But I checked out the area, and it looks like a really fun area to be a part
It's
of.
so fun. And I went to look up some new restaurant uh, on Google last night while we were at Ska Bar. And the first thing that came up is all this information about Siesta Key. Apparently, there's a show called
Hmm.
Siesta Key, and a
Huh.
lot of it is filmed was filmed at the Ska.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
and in a couple other areas. So I'd never heard of that. I don't know if it's a reality show or if it's some kind of a drama. I'm sure it'd be about young people, in
Yeah.
Siesta Key.
How cool is that?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll say another thing. We always come at this time of year, last week of February, or this time it's the first week of March, because it's right before spring break. And we do not want any part of this area during spring break.
I cannot. Why did we even want to be? I know you had some pretty wild spring break adventures. I never
No, no,
did,
no,
but
no. I always worked. I never, no. Now I would
I thought
go,
you and Jay came down for spring break
we
one
would
time.
go to Myrtle Beach, and it wouldn't necessarily, it would be in the summer. It wouldn't really be a
Oh,
spring
gotcha.
break. Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be in the summer.
Yeah,
And
I
yeah, we had
never got
wild
to go
times
anywhere.
there. We spent our last night in jail there, the last trip we took.
Well, that's fun.
Well, it was like going home never felt so good.
I can only imagine. Hey,
Um,
we've gone pretty long here,
oh,
Barry. Do you
okay.
want to wrap up and
Do you
go
want to
to?
do
Should
an
we
after
do
show?
the after show today? I mean, I know
I'm in.
you're
Yeah, I'm in.
okay. All right.
I do want to talk a little bit about current events, but
Yeah,
I
me too.
just enjoyed this conversation in general
Same.
a
Same
lot.
here, man.
And so I don't think I could share anyway. I couldn't a few minutes ago. I have all these great lighter side, but the whole podcast has been the lighter side. So, but I'll tell you about one of them. One of them is a dash cam vid from these two cops in the UK. And the headline is something like "Dinosaur on the Run." There's a person in a dinosaur outfit running down the street, and it captures these two cops. You don't see them, but you just hear they are laughing hysterically as they're slowly chasing, so to speak, this
Can you
person in a
imagine?
dinosaur.
I've seen that. Is that like a T-Rex?
Yes, yes,
I've
you've
seen I've
this.
seen this before. It's so ridiculous.
It is.
Uh,
It is.
how fun is that? I love that.
Yeah. Okay. So with that, we'll wrap up here. We'll go into the after show with. If you want to watch it, guys, you'll see the thumbnail come up in the lower left of your corner. But what you should do is go to over50startingover.com. You catch all of our videos there, but links where you could just click on something like Apple Podcast and subscribe, so you don't miss any of our episodes. If you like the video, subscribe to Spotify. Our full video is there. So we'll see you next week. Mo, I'll see you in the after show.
All right.